Hello everyone, I just wanted to take a few minutes and go through some changes we're making in our toolkit and why. Real fast, let's run through what we're currently using. We are using our carbon black ink for our waterproof ink, our Sumi ink for our grayscale. We're still sticking with the A nib and G nib in our Tachikawa pens, and the glass dip pen for the panels. We have our Stay Wet palette where we do little test marks with the pens and test marks with the brushes as well to see what color we're actually going to be putting onto the paper. And here's our tone range. Got our little test paper here where it shows which one's which. And there's all the ranges. We have typically only used 1 through 4 so far, but if we're doing some darker work, we might dip into some of the darker ones. We have our 3 cups now. 2 for water. When it comes to the different types of ink, the waterproof and non-waterproof, we don't want to mix the brushes in them. And just one to hold the brushes. We don't put them in here when they're wet. We set them flat when they're wet to dry, and then we throw them in here just for some storage. Finishing off with the 110-pound mixed media sketch pad that we've been using to do all of our manga studies on. We also actually have a little rag here just for wiping off our brushes. Even though the pad is one of our newest additions, it's going to actually be what is going next. So far, it has been better than the last pad. It's held up a lot better, dried a lot better, a lot less wrinkles, but it's just still not quite what we're looking for. A lot of times when I'm using the dip pens on it, especially the fine tip pen, it really tears into the paper and picks it up, and then it ends up creating a lot of different lines and I'm not trying to make. I believe this one actually has, I'm not sure if you guys probably can't see, but it has a little fuzz at the end of it from the paper where it gets stuck in the nib, and that just creates a lot of issues while we're drawing. Now, it's probably partially an issue of me pressing too hard, but even when I try to adjust for that, it still ends up scratching the paper and pulling it up. So we're gonna try some different paper and a whole new method altogether. This is gonna be our new drawing pad. It is a 9 by 12 inch tempered piece of glass that I have put little rubber nubbies on the back to help stabilize it and protect it from just being flat on the table. With that, we have bought our deleter paper finally that we decided just to go ahead and start testing out. I went with the Book Kent paper. It supposedly should hold up to our washes a bit better. Feeling it, I kind of feels like our inks might sit on the top of the paper for a while, but we'll see how that turns out. We may end up testing the normal type B, but we'll see how this turns out and how easy it is to draw on, if it makes things easier. Now what we're gonna have to do is use artist tape to tape our paper down to the glass, to the new drawing pad. I could have possibly just taped it right down to the table, but I've started to realize that drawing on the pad that I've already been drawing on, that I'm gonna have to start twisting it and moving it around just a little bit to get certain lines to go the way I need them to, and not have my wrist compensate for everything. Now, to be able to do this accurately, we are going to grab one thing out of the pencil sketching case that I have created a while back. And that's just going to be one pencil, and that's only going to be to mark out our tape lines, because what we're going to do is, I got the A4 size paper, but I know when I go to do my final drawings, my final pages, when I go to create my own manga, it will be on B4 paper. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark out our drawing space that would be on our B4 paper, so we are practicing the same space always. But this is, so we're wasting a little bit less paper, and it's a little bit more cost effective than practicing on our B4 final paper just to do our manga studies. But after the paper is down and taped down, the pencil goes right back into the case until we are finally ready to start planning out our own panels and sketching and stuff, and then we will get this out for planning before we start inking our own panels and pages. And one last thing we will need to mark everything out correctly will be a ruler. So we'll throw one of these in here. We'll mark out where we want to put our tape, and then we'll put our tape down, and when it's all done, we'll lift our tape up and we'll erase the little pencil marks that we made. Now, since everything's not in a book like it was before or a pad, and we can't close our work up when we're done, and I do wish to save these, I decided to get a little portfolio for it. It's a little 9" by 12" portfolio. Each protector will hold 2 pages. I can throw them in here and they'll be protected, and I can flip through them just as I would any book. So that'll be nice to use so things don't get ruined over time, and I can always go back and see my own progress and the progress that I made. Our final additions is we're finally going to add in our white ink. So I got 2 different kinds here. One's a little bit thicker than the other. One I can use to kind of wash over things, while the other is more for like highlights and just like little dots on the eyes and stuff. We're bringing back the little black brushes for now. We're not trying to use anything special with this. We're just going to use what we have for now, and we'll probably update our brushes down the line. But I have them, figured I might as well use them and see how this white ink starts to work. We can probably start to layer things a little bit differently now and maybe take on some different works. Beyond that, I am super excited to get started with this manga paper, test it out, and see if it's what we're going to be using permanently. Alright, I'm going to get started on this draw, and I will get that posted tomorrow, and see you guys later.